My name is John Maine. I'm an artist and a member of the Cosmatic Group from the Fabric Advisory Committee, and my connection with this is to keep an eye on the whole thing as an artist. Well, this pavement is at the very heart of the Abbey, and you would expect that to be the most still place possibly, but it actually has a lot of movement in it. It's still and moving, and you can go on journeys through the various elements of the pavement. It has a very complex set of frames, really. Well, normally you would expect a frame to hold something and keep everything out of it. In this case, the frame comes in and out of the whole composition, weaves in and out, goes on various paths, and you can follow along these on a journey which touches every part of the whole pavement. Now, the framework isn't just one line, it's several lines running together. And the lines overlap, so that sometimes you're on a straight and then you veer around onto a circular path, go around a circle and leave in another direction. And this keeps the whole design alive. It's very important to see this as being the macrocosm, the vastness of time and space, and yet that's brought down into the details of small pieces of stone and a surface that we can walk on and explore bit by bit in detail. So it's both things at once, and I think that was very much, that was in the mind of the makers of it. Within the strict geometric frame of this, it's surprising to find at the very heart of it, not geometry, but nature. These patterns here are not drawn on with a set square or compass. It's the natural shaping in the stone itself. It has cracks in it, which are part of its character these days, but it's a beautiful, turbulent stone. It's like looking into a pool. It's also the largest of the stones. And yet, only nearby, you have another shape, the same size, which is made in a completely different way. And this, you might see this as stars in the sky, but they're actually lozenges and little geometric shapes. And the energy of that is created through geometric design. It's a completely different way of making a circle, and yet the whole thing works because these have their role. There are 4 of them. Those 4 have their role, and this has its role at the heart. It's like the molten center and the crystalline exterior of one world. There are certain key bits to it. Obviously there's a very strong center, but there are also elements distributed throughout. And one of the strongest features is the use of the square on the diagonal in the middle, something that the medieval geometers knew all about. And that square is then contained by circular elements or stations, each very different in character. Possibly relating to planets, we don't know. But each is different, the geometry is different, but they're very strong characters. And on the outside, 4 more, holding the whole pattern in place. This device of the square and the diagonal is a linking device between this pavement and the rest of the Abbey, in fact. You can see that circle in the middle and those circles around it, and that's repeated in the columns nearby. People think of the columns as being drums, but if you look more carefully, you'll see that they have small columns running with them, which describe a diagonal square in pattern on the floor. And if you look at the footprint of one of these columns, it's actually a square, but it's not a square with the whole of the Abbey, it's a square on the diagonal. It gives a sense of energy of one thing in relation to another. So the pavement doesn't exist just on its own. It fits into the whole geometry, and that's why it feels so much at home here. Having said that, when you get to the pavement, there's a cranking up of the intensity of the detail, and you really feel that you're moving into something very, very special. It's a journey for the mind.